1.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the October 22nd meeting to order at 5:30. Item number 2, I'd like to call on Councillor Fiebelkorn for the land acknowledgement, please.
I'd like to acknowledge that the rural municipality of St. Andrews is located on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, and the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved, the council adopt the agenda as amended with the addition of the following items. Number 9, correspondence for action. St. George Wakefield Anglican Church 120th anniversary invitation, November 10th. And item 9.6 will be the 2025 Red River Basin International Summit Conference. Add in camera under item 13, Red River Planning Board update. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconded by Councillor Mirecki. Is there any further amendments or addition? Councillor Slyker? Yeah, no. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Adoption of the minutes. Oh, sorry. Oh, Councillor Hunt, being on Zoom, it's all right if you could just chime in whenever if you have a comment or something, because like it's hard to monitor watching Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Agenda item 4.1. Adoption of minutes. Be it resolved, the council adopt the October 8th, 2024 council meeting minutes as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Fiebelkorn, seconder. Councillor Mirecki. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Draft October 15th, 2024 committee of the whole. Be it resolved, the council received the October 15th, 2024 committee of the whole meeting minutes as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder. Councillor Fiebelkorn, any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Next item, resumption of delegation. Welcome. We have Kelly Shymko. Is Glenn or Jennifer and Darren Walker, are they coming?
I don't think they are actually.
Okay, if you'd like to come to the front table, I think is the microphone on.
Yeah, the one beside him is on. I think everyone's having issues, but it should pick up. Yeah.
Yes, welcome, Mr. Shymko.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Hi, I'm Kelly Shymko. I'm making this presentation on behalf of Glenn and Jennifer Shymko, Darren Walker, and myself. We all own property on Pruden Avenue, which is presently being serviced by a wastewater system that was installed in 2015. There are 3 homes connected to the sewer system, although there are, I believe, 16 stubs. That was only 12, but this says 16 that were installed in line in front of potential lots as identified by the Municipal Board of Manitoba in 2015. Pruden is zoned as rural residential. It requires 60,000 square feet or 1.4 acres to develop a potential lot. But the average size on Pruden is approximately 0.3 of an acre, so really there's no ability to even try to get another lot. None of the properties on the street meet any existing zoning requirements. To create new lots, a zoning change would be required, although we're not sure there is a designation in the present zoning area to create an infill lot zone. I've spoken with our river planning on multiple times regarding a 150-foot lot we own that we'd like to create 2 75-foot wide lots, but was told that they would take my application and fee, but they recommended that they wouldn't approve it due to our rural residential zoning. I was also told that a new zoning development agreement was being adopted to accommodate infill housing that had a wastewater system, but in talking with Derek Eno approximately 6 weeks ago, was told that that wouldn't be happening because they're having staffing issues. He also said he wouldn't support splitting of the properties due to the RR zoning. I guess my question is, with the sewer on the street and the homes that there's 200-foot lots, there's some 33-foot titles on a combined 330-foot lot. how do we get another lot to utilize the sewer to build another home, or is that, you know, do we have to wait for a rezoning to an infill designation? It just doesn't seem like it's gonna happen in the near future.
Okay, so you're talking, okay, for example, number 5,
Yeah,
on this map we were given.
so that's a 150-foot lot.
Okay,
And the-
so you wanna split it in half?
Well, there would be two, well, I mean, yeah, I'm talking on a personal level, we'd have two 75-foot lots, but in, you know, talking to Mr. Walker, I think he also has a 150-foot lot, and he'd like to be able to split it in half, and Glenn and Jennifer, they have a 200-foot lot, and they'd like to create another 100-foot lot, but there doesn't appear to be any way to really do it. Like when we call down to Red River Planning, they, you know, they basically say, well, you can spend the money but we're going to, you know, not approve it.
Councillor Slyker?
I have a question for the planner, if you don't mind. Pruden,
Yep.
this is falls under the, as Mr. Shymko says, the zoning not being updated as the sewer system has been rolled out.
Mhm.
Is this potentially something that the RM could do a one-off resolution bylaw, whatever the appropriate thing is, to apply to have it rezoned for that street, since these guys have been sitting in limbo since 2015, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a unique situation, right? The current zoning is rural residential, which is strictly larger acreage lots, 1.38 acres. Currently, the only relevant zone we have is a suburban residential. If they're serviced, which these lots would be, the minimum lot size is a third of an acre. And even then, the average lot size along Pruden is already below that. And now we're talking about even furthering subdividing that into half, possibly lots of 0.15 of an acre. Variances can only accomplish so much. So potentially a new zone would have to be created to support the infill development. At the same time, there's variances for the site width as well. Many of these lots are already very undersized. So if we were to create a new zone, it may be something relevant to infill development or potentially looking at mass variances and a rezoning to suburban residential. In its current capacity, the RR zone is not quite suitable for this kind of unique situation on Pruden.
So is there, I guess what my ultimate question here is, and I talked to Mr. Shymko numerous times. It seems like it's an area that was told one thing in St. Andrews at one point in time, long before I ever dreamt of doing this. But I was following up everything as it was put into place. And now they've been at a standstill for almost 10 years now. With not everybody throwing their hands up saying, I can't help you, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't whatever. We are at a standstill with RRPD, we all know that. The rezoning, all that kind of stuff we were promised when we came on council is not going anywhere. 150-foot lot, that does exist in places. It's not unheard of. I guess, is there not something that the RM can do through variances, like?
Yeah, absolutely. So what Mr. Shymko said, speaking with Red River Planning from a policy perspective, we've seen this a number of times now. Red River Planning would not support the subdivision due to minimum lot sizes not being met, site frontages not being met. If there's any other reasoning that may not align with their policy for that type of subdivision. Would council be receptive, despite all of these concerns with their policies in place, to approve this style of development? That would be for council to decide. The RR zoning for lots typically this small is not quite appropriate. The RA zoning would be far more relevant in this case. But if the properties are to be rezoned, who is going to apply for that rezoning? Would that come from the municipality or from the landowners themselves?
I personally, because of this going on for 9 years, would almost think that it should be something that the RM either picks up the cost for. I mean, some of these residents jumped on board with this, okay, that, and all of us have lived in St. Andrews, when this all first started, that was the selling point of the sewer. Hook up, and then you can subdivide your property, use the piece you sell to pay for the sewer. Everybody heard it. And we're 9 years in, and they're at a standstill.
Give her a normal.
So I look at the sheet, there's a lot of hookups for, there's gotta be, was there something grandfathered in this or anything like that? Like, it just seems kind of odd that there's all these hookups on this street.
I think there actually are too many, actually, like there's 16, but when you identify,
So,
the lots are strange because there are, like I said, one owner has, I think, 7 33-foot titles actually,
okay,
right? But I don't think it could accommodate 16 homes on the
it
street.
just seems very
I
strange.
think it was 12 that we thought it would accommodate with the existing ones.
Well, it was the RM of the day that put those in. We didn't have any say. There was no say.
So when the lines were put in, this was something that was done in 2015, back then, okay.
I can just quickly add, yeah, this was constructed and finalized in 2015. I believe the project began discussions as early as 2011, 2012, and it was kind of evolved from there.
Okay.
You could put more stubs in there if you,
Yeah,
For what purpose?
well, depending on the zone, right?
But what do you do about the 33-foot lots?
Well, that just happens to be the way it was titled.
Yeah,
but
that's just how
they
the
would have to
titles are.
amalgamate it into something like more appropriate for sure, but.
Do you have an estimate on a rezoning? Because
The cost of
before
rezoning.
we say municipality, maybe it's a shared cost.
Something, yeah, I'm sure Mr.
Because
Shymko
I've
would
done
like to
rezonings
hear.
before and Mr. Shymko might have been involved in some rezonings before too. I'm not sure. But if I remember correctly, I did one for a smaller size like this and it was about $30,000.
Interrupt. I don't think any of us are opposed to paying big fees to get this done. You know, Red River Planning threw $10,000 at us to start with the surveys and all that, and then it's not really I don't believe the money is the issue. It's just going nowhere when it falls down.
Well, I guess what we need to know tonight, and we haven't talked, we have to know council's receptive.
Right.
To, if a general feeling that Mr. Shymko gets it, council's receptive, then we'll keep moving, right? And that's not a decision, it's receptive where decisions get made later, right?
Well, personally, I have no issue.
Yeah.
I would be in favor to see something start moving, like, something needs to move here. So I have one other question then. So RRPD will put their thing together stating that they don't approve it. And they're gonna have a lot of reasons.
Not if we rezone it,
Oh.
not if it comes to the council to get rezoned and you would have public hearings. And 3 readings and
Okay.
and
Okay.
it comes to council, and then it's rezoned.
Then it-
They would oppose it as it sits now, right? Their professional planning designations would say that they have to follow policy and they couldn't support this.
Yeah.
But if we rezone, then it could be supported, right? And rezoning could take some time. The ones that I've been involved in, if it's 5 or 6 months, but that's good
Better than
progress
the
compared to 9
you've
years.
been
Yeah.
waiting. Yeah. So who
I have a
brings
couple-
that? Go
I
ahead,
have a
Rick.
couple of comments. First of all, when you say the planning board approve it, so the planning board doesn't approve. They accept the application, they do the paperwork on it, and we've had them come before us before. Because remember, I always complain about the bold letters. We recommend do not approve in bold letters. And the reason they say do not approve, because if the province appeals it, and that's who's going to appeal, if we did pass a variance on it, the province is going to appeal it. Then the planning board goes and fights for and fights in our favor, but it's hard for them to fight when it doesn't conform to policy. So that's why they say, you know, so we know sometimes, like when we do subdivision on agricultural land, you know, it's A80 land and there's 10 houses down there, and the planning board still says must not approve, because if the province appeals, but then the province is the one that says we don't have any issues with this. So the planning board doesn't have that power to approve or not approve. It's us that has that power. And, you know, I guess you have to see if the province would appeal it, get a feel from, you know, I guess some provincial agencies. But like the CAO says, rezoning is the easiest way.
Mhm. I would think,
Would we? Okay, it would decide who applies for rezoning, but that can be done without our RPD?
Yep.
Like we can do it without our RPD?
We can hire a consultant to do rezoning plan.
oh, we can't just do this as a one-off. You wanna do all of it in one shot.
Well, not as a one-off, you want to rezone the area, this area.
And we need a consultant to do that? I'm just asking.
If you're talking to create a new zone, yes, you would want to hire a consultant for an infill designated zone. If you're to rezone to suburban residential, you may still see a Red River Planning issue that not recommended for approval due to other limiting factors that are currently present in the zone as it's written. It's a very unique situation, this street with the minimal frontage.
Okay, so who would apply, who would put the paperwork in to have it rebuilt? Mr. Shymko?
We can meet with him and discuss how we want to do this. No, I think,
Yeah, we'd be willing, absolutely.
yeah, I think that the idea tonight is to get a feel.
Right, I
of
just want to see if there
council,
was any, you know,
Yeah.
anybody receptive to what we were asking.
right? Because they don't want to go ahead and spend money and start putting energy into it, and then it, you know, there's no support from
No.
council. So initial support is what they're looking for.
I think this is close enough to Selkirk that you wouldn't find an issue with rezoning some of
We're
that
one
in there.
block away.
I know, so that's just my.
I think this
opinion
is really a unique situation here. It's gonna be a one-off. It's not gonna affect a lot of people, so.
So can you, number 10 on this paper, is that on to somebody else's property?
Well, that's, I think that looks like that's Setter's property. And
Let me see.
I'm not sure why those stubs were put like that, to be honest with you. I mean,
No, I'm talking about
Oh.
that looks like Walker property.
oh, Walker, I'm
number
sorry.
10.
Yeah, that is the Walker property, right?
But it shows like where the lot line is, and then the building is over the lot line.
Yeah, I never noticed that. Yeah, that's, but when there was a building location done, we had built the one next to it, which is for Pruden. It wouldn't have been shown like that, like it was all okay to build that new home. I don't know if this is old or what.
In respect of the property lines shown on the drawing, I can't confirm whether or not they're 100% accurate.
Right,
I'm looking
okay.
at our mapping system right now. Number 10 Pruden Avenue looks to me to be self-contained on the lot.
Yeah.
Doesn't look to be crossing over any property lines.
I think he was encroaching somewhat, not much within possibly the minimum, but he was on his own. Darren was on his own property for sure.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks. It just looked weird, because I know Setters is 14 and 12.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, it's a unique street.
Yeah.
It's very narrow too. Okay, is there anything else further you wish to add, or? You'll meet
I'm
with
good,
Bra-
yeah, very
you'll meet with
pleased that
Braden and,
able to do this.
CAO.
Thank you so much for allowing us to do this. More encouraging. All
Thanks
right,
for
thank
coming
you very
in.
much. Yeah.
Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next item 6, council reports. Anybody have any questions? Oh, Councillor Hunt added on a report now. Anybody have any comments, questions on the reports? Okay, moving on. Bylaws and policies, bylaw number 4402, business licensing bylaw, first reading. Be resolved that council give first reading to bylaw number 4402, being the business licensing bylaw as presented. Folks, prior to doing that, Pruden, are you speaking to this?
I can, yes.
Yes, please.
So this is a newly formed business bylaw. The intent would be to repeal the original and enact this new one. There's been some considerable changes. It was difficult to create a red line copy due to the formatting, so I've attached the original for council's consideration. But highlighting some of the major changes in this bylaw, one being the formatting, of course, but then two is the inclusion of the schedules at the end. One of them being the application form, which outlines the fees, submittal requirements for business licenses, as well as Schedule B, a form of appeal for those who are not granted a business license, kind of bringing that into compliance, as well as the language within, updating that to current methods, referring to the designated officer to be more in line with our current bylaws. As well, there's a few items that I'm seeking some feedback from council on for the bylaw itself. I have here item 3.05 of the bylaw. The organizer of a trade show, farmer's market, or community event is required to obtain a business license. So this is something I've seen other municipalities adopt. However, there are conditional uses at Red River Planning for special events that also cover events such as this. So I was just curious what council's position would be on something like that, if they prefer for the applicant to obtain a business license or a temporary business license, or to go the route of a conditional use for those specific types of events.
Councillor Slyker.
Well, if we go this way, the RM would get the money. If you go the other way, RRPD gets the money. Correct?
Correct, yeah.
And this way, if we go through the RM, we could hurry it along a lot quicker for whomever business is looking to do this. If it's once a month or 4 times a month, whatever, you can figure out a price point for that. And pretty sure the RM can lickety flick that through real quick for everybody.
And the idea of this is that these trade shows, farmers markets are, numbered the amount of days in the year. It's not like a long-standing event.
Exactly.
At the same time, land use compliances are still required, making sure that that use is appropriate for that zone. So if we go the route of issuing a business license or a temporary license for these, maybe we may have to issue a memorandum to Red River Planning saying that business licenses for these types of events can supersede the requirement for a conditional use.
Yes.
If that's the route we'd like to go.
What I can tell you, I learned this summer is Red River Planning. Now you're going after people, you want to put a tent up in your yard for a wedding. There's a big cost to that, to get a license to do that. And that's all through RRPD. And there have been numerous people in St. Andrews that have not been happy with that this summer. So just, and the time frame, and like they thought, well, I ordered the tent, I got that, and then it comes down, what do you mean I need something from you? And then it lags through, so we did, some events went on with nothing, which is fine, but if the RM could control this, that would be a much better taxpayer service, would be my point to this.
I have a concern with 305 to obtain a business license, because I know, being involved, I've been asked like Woodlands assistants all over St. Clements. This is a tourist attraction. You don't want to deter people from paying and not setting up events here. And that's why now there's going to be another cost, another license. A cost to have a business license to run a craft sale, like a social, a tea, whatever. Like, this is new, right? This wasn't in the last one.
It wasn't in the last one. It's for council's consideration, whether or not they want to keep, remove, include it. There are other exemptions for licenses. Of course, the next section touches on, business activities, the supply, delivery of wholesale bulk goods to resident businesses, businesses that rent a stall, table, or space as a vendor at a trade show. So the license is only required for the one who's organizing the event.
And I don't agree with that. Because I know St. Clements, Grand Marie asked me, it was it was all free because they want to encourage people to come and set up, encourage tourism.
Mhm.
This is a deterrent to having going, oh, more fees to pay.
Mhm. So certainly looking for some council feedback on the structure of some of these items. There's a few more I have, but definitely willing to answer some questions right now.
I have a couple of, that's, my question is who's going to enforce that? And obviously these things happen on weekends. We're paying somebody overtime, staff people to take the application. You're not going to, the cost is going to exceed the profit you're going to make. What concerns me is the increase in the prices, and you don't have the two sections now of the home base and the other business. All of them are $150 now going up. And again, I think, it's a big increase, and I don't know how pliant most of the businesses in St. Andrews are. One thing I do agree with maybe sometimes is the transient businesses that come in. But then how do you, like tree cutters or contractors not from within the RM, but then how do you control that? So you have the chip truck coming in or the Pepsi truck coming in doing businesses at your store, or are they outside businesses? Like, so I don't know. I think we touched on stuff sometimes doesn't need nothing changed on it, tweaked a little bit, but this is a major change. As far as the markers and that, that I don't know. I don't, there's so many of them around and private ones, and don't know what the answer for those ones are. But the cost is a big increase, and then someone has to make these phone calls and take the cost and take the aggravation and the flack. I worked well with the home base and the other business at $50 and $100, but so I'll wait for councils to what the other opinions are.
Mirecki?
Yeah, my two big issues here is enforcement and cost. We raise the cost, and then how in the heck do we enforce it? It's just simply not worth it at times.
Deputy Mayor Doornbos?
When's the last time there's been an increase in business licenses in the RM?
Hasn't been updated in over 20 years.
Was right?
Yeah, so that's
Wasn't
really
it
not,
50 or 100?
A home-based business,
Currently
currently a home-based business is $50. And if you're using the property as a business, it's $100. And that's
I go back to
blanket.
what Councillor Hunt said, it is a large increase as well, and I'd be willing to, obviously things have to go, they increase over those years, right? So,
20 years.
Maybe double what they were in the past instead of, like, this is 4 times as much. So, and as well as the vendors and stuff and in the markets, that's going to be really hard to enforce, and you don't want to scare people away by coming.
No,
Hey, where's your
absolutely
license?
not.
Where's your license? Where's your license? They're not going to come back.
Well, see, and that's what happened in Selkirk when I was running the Selkirk market. They wanted everybody to pay, like, okay, somebody selling strawberries, they got 2 weeks to come to the market. They wanted to buy a business license to come for 2 weeks to a market. Well, they weren't gonna come because the cost of the license, they'd never sell that much.
There's some things you can do and some things you shouldn't do, and to be open for business, and then all of a sudden hit people with, in my opinion, it's just a waste. So
Is it really gonna make any difference, $50 here or $100 here or there, to the RM? I don't think it is.
Well, and how come, do we have to, on this business license application form, it's got Redditor planning.
Mhm.
This is their fees they set up?
Nope. Business license applications, they need to be accredited by or verified by Red River Planning to ensure that the land use that they're using that business on is compatible with the zoning for the property. So it has to be sent to them for the review and approval.
Councillor Slyker? Wow.
so the market one, would it not just be the business license charged to the person overseeing the whole market? Like, so it's one business license, correct? So if I rent 10 acres off of your property and open it up to be a market for 1 week, then my assumption is I come to the RM, pay the money to have that market in that area, not each individual
Well, no, but
vendor person.
the operator applying for the license would then apply that increase in fee to each vendor to cover it.
That's,
So it's still an increase to the person selling the product.
So we've kind of discussed it a little bit already, but I was also seeking feedback on the fees themselves. So yes, you are correct that it would be the operator of that vendor or farmer's market that would be, you know, as it's written currently to obtain the license, the vendors themselves just operate below the organizer. If this is a temporary event, there are monthly business licenses that have been included as an option. So currently it's written at $15. These are very fluid. They can be changed if council would like to see the numbers adjusted, be more in line. Currently the increase is the max that we can request for a business license at all is $200 per the Municipal Act.
So then it would be the Petersfield market. They would have to pay the $150.
If they're seeking an annual business license as it's written currently, yes, $150.
they would have half a season license because they're only there for half a year.
There is a prorated option, which, you know, exists after August 1st. We can adjust that to July 1st if you'd like to see an even split. Again, the rates can be adjusted to however council sees fit.
So another thing with the Petersfield market is they move inside, and it's run in partnership with the people that operate it and the Petersfield Community Club. So I think it moves inside now for the winter. So we're taking money from a club that we support. You know, that's again, that's, you know, I know two guys run it and organize it, but they pay. The community club gets a percentage of it, you know, for fundraising, and then it moves inside. I believe the next one moves inside actually for the winter. Then there's 2 or 3 over the winter.
Councillor Slyker?
The Petersfield market is ran by two gentlemen who keep a large percentage of the market because they do run it all year. You're right, Lori, they run it all year. They're hooking up with dealers, they're all over the place. They're very, very good at what they do. The Petersfield Community Club gets a 30% stake when the markets are in the park outside or they are in the community hall. So they're not, I used before I joined the community club, I thought, oh, 100% of this all, I've learned that hats off to the two guys that run it, because man, they do a wonderful job. But the larger percentage is like their business, for lack of terminology. Just like any other market where there's one person that puts it out there and all the people sign up under that one person.
Okay, any further comments?
I can add one final thing to the fees. When I was just quickly structuring the fees, the intent was that we're supporting local businesses, hence the lower rates for based in the municipality, and then the higher rates for those based outside of the municipality. When it comes down to enforcement, yes, that is a question for our enforcement department. How you capture that? That currently exists right now with our current bylaw.
Exactly.
So it's nothing new.
It's almost on an honor system.
It is,
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Well, if I may, I would like to see 305 remove the organizer of Shymko Farmers Market. It is required to obtain a business license. I look at it from the tourism point of view, that you want to attract people to the area, not pay more fees. One more comment, Councillor Slyker?
Well, Mayor, I'm not being rude here, but you run a farmer's market, or you have in the past, so I'm not too sure that you're having a true open mind to that 305.
Well, I'm not anymore. I'm looking at it from a tourism point of view. And you want to attract people, not keep assessing fees to come. I know from past experience, I've had some people come, it's a community event, a community gathering place. I know I had one lady paying her $30 rent and selling $20 worth of product. But she didn't care because she was visiting these people. But at this point, I'm not involved in it, and I don't plan to be. I have someone else to take it over.
Well, how many events are there annually?
Well, Skinner's Locks Market, Councillor Slyker's referring to, it was 13 or 14. depending on the weather. If you're really out, you don't
Yeah.
have.
I would like to know what we take in now in business licenses in a year and a projected number of what we would take in. And then I don't think that the workload and the enforcement costs and the aggravation that we're going to give to our residents as well as ourselves is worth it. That's my opinion.
I can certainly get that number for the next, for the second reading. Absolutely. I did have, sorry, I apologize. One final item for consideration on the Schedule A for the application form. If we'd like to consider, this will be something that's coming in the future as a short-term rental bylaw. So this hasn't come forward yet, but would council like to see short-term rentals be required to apply for both a business license and a short-term rental license, or just one or the other, being the short-term license instead or in place of the business license?
Could I get clarification on that? So this would apply, now I'm just coming to mind, like a bed and breakfast or an Airbnb. Would this would apply for that as well?
It could, right? We could require them to have both operated as a business and also further requirements that are required for a short-term rental. That's required inspections, fire safety analysis by the fire department, compliance with bylaw, unsightliness, further checkups if required. However, they can be separated, where short-term rentals only require that license and not the business license, if that's the will of council.
Okay. Councillor Slyker?
So what do the current DMVs that we have in our community, because I know we have a few, how do they operate now? Just a business license, that's it?
A business license if they're recorded, again, on our system. So there are certainly a couple Airbnbs and Verbos that are not accounted for.
No, I'm just talking about.
Oh, official business,
The
yeah,
official bed and breakfast.
business
that
license.
We have in the municipality today.
Business license.
Business license.
And they belong to an organization.
Mhm. I'm just wondering, how does Gimli operate? Could we perhaps find out what they're doing?
They do both.
They do both.
I'd like to see both. Have a little bit more rules and regulations in regards to those things.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Mondor too. I think we would be doing it not so much for the operator, but for the individuals that live next door or are exposed to the operation, because some of these operations have to have some rules or some consequences if they don't act properly.
You know, I also know if there was one here, I'm sorry, went by. But that's just by. Oh, 4.0 C. Who enforces it? Persons or businesses conducting a concert, recital, show where all artists or performers are amateurs. Oh, who decides that?
Yeah, so that would be written at, like, if it's a hired performer or an actor or something like that, that would require business. This is talking more school recitals, church recitals, those type of events. Yeah.
So if we had Madonna come, she'd have to pay.
In theory, yes, if Madonna were to come.
Okay, we have a Patsy Cline impersonator. She's professional, so she'd have to pay.
Is she renting a space to perform her services and is selling tickets? And then yes, and it could be
She's normally hired by an event.
yeah, typically it would be, you know, performance for the event at hand.
Any further comments by council? Okay, there's been more information. So be it resolved that council give first reading to bylaw 4402 being business licensing bylaw. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Fiebelkorn, seconded by Councillor Slyker. Any further comments? All in favor? Carried.
I'm opposed.
Okay, thank you. Item 7.2. Bylaw 4405, burning bylaws to control open fires, first reading. Who will be speaking to this?
Me, Jordan.
Jordan?
Yeah.
If you go ahead, please.
So basically this bylaw is the same as the previous bylaw. All I've added in is the burning permits section there. I cannot remember the section number. Sorry, that's my fault.
5 or
5, yeah, I believe it's 5 that speaks about burning during wildfire season. And needing to acquire a permit. So that everything else is the same in that bylaw, just this is an addition based on looking at the bylaws on the templates and recommendations from the Office of Fire Commissioner.
Councillor Fiebelkorn?
So if the wildfire season is April 1st to November 15, and based on how I'm reading number 5, the burning permit requirement, no person shall start an outdoor fire during wildfire season without obtaining a burning permit. So does that mean any open bonfire?
No, anything that's in the beginning where it says a fire pit, except those ones in the accepted fire pit already, and then the bylaw speaks to the accepted fire pit of being 22 inches.
24, yeah. Okay.
Deputy Mayor Doornbos?
So, Councillor Fiebelkorn was saying too, I was very confused about this. We had talked about this earlier today, how I felt it was the same way. You need a permit to have a fire in your yard during wildfire season. Is there any way we can clean this up a little bit so that it's?
It has since been. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll just make a comment. If you look at in the beginning of the bylaw, under the definitions, if you read outdoor fire,
Okay.
it specifically excludes that.
I'm sorry, Lisa, where is that? Under definitions?
Definitions, so one, if you look under the definition outdoor fire,
Oh, there.
so it's excluding recreational fires and accepted fire pits and barbecue pits.
Okay.
And also that date is also subject to change based on what we feel too as well. Or myself having the power from the fire commissioner and in consultation with the fire chiefs, that seasonal, the wildfire season, we can play with that date, but that's a general kind of given based on recommendations from the
Thank you.
So on that note, any farmer is going to have to get a permit to burn during this
during the
During
wildfire
this
season. Yes, and they also have to coincide with the agricultural burning and that sort of thing as well.
but they already do.
Okay.
There's certain times of the day and winds that they have to abide by on the Agricultural Act. So
Right.
this just puts another layer on them of having to do that, and I think it should be something more in stone where the wildfire season is, if it's recommended by the province. Other than
That's what that date
us.
is on it. That is the date. That is the date that's there, but it also gives us the opportunity. So say if we have a wetter season, maybe we don't require it at this time, right? So if the season is a lot more wet from say, wherever it starts in April 30th. So if we have a very wet spring from April 30th to June 1st, well, maybe we don't need those permits, but the permit is there to ensure that we know who is burning, when they are burning, if they have the adequate equipment to help to put out that fire, so our resources aren't strained during a year where we have a very dry year and we're very busy, right? Like it's there to kind of mitigate out of control fires that could happen, because anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I thought we kind of do that now, though, when we have a burning ban on, the chiefs get together and come up with a plan of a burning ban during dry seasons, and then they also recommend when to take that ban off.
Right, that's a burning ban. This is a permit though, to let us know that, hey, somebody is burning. We have an idea, and that way we can also let 911 know that, hey, these are burning going on in these areas. So if you get a call, this is what this is for, so that we're not being pushed out to, controlled burns that are happening, right? These burns happen all the time without our knowledge, and we end up going out to burns that aren't necessarily needing the response, but because nobody knows about them, the fire department is being sent out to them, right? So it's also a way to cut down costs from us having to, deploy how many firefighters for 3 hours at a time. Right?
Yeah,
It's
no,
just- That's a layer of
I-
responsibility, right?
agree on that part, that cell phones make a big part of it. You know, someone driving by and they, you know, good for them to be good citizens and that, but all 90% of the time there's people there attending it and it's not out of control, you know. But
The times when we get there. Sorry, go ahead.
Councillor Mirecki?
Yeah, how many burning permits do we issue in a year?
I do not have that knowledge in front of me. I really haven't been aware of any burning permits that have come through me. Nothing has come through my office and nobody's, as far as I know, I haven't seen a single one, but I can look into that.
I'd be interested to know, to find out how many burning permits do we issue? Maybe this is something that we should take a look at. If we don't issue any, what are we doing here?
Well, if we don't issue any, that means that people are burning and we don't have a formal process to follow it, right?
Mhm.
If we have a permit, then people know, you know, they become educated on how to follow to get a permit, and then we're aware that these things are going on in the community, and we get a call, we say, yeah, we're aware of that, right? It's a controlled burn. So it provides a process where, you know, the farmer can say, yeah, I gotta make that call and get that permit, right? And then we have it on record.
So what is the cost of a permit? I don't see any.
There's no cost.
Oh, okay.
There wouldn't be a cost to it, right? Like the cost would come, the only time that we could ever probably put a cost to anything is if you don't get that permit, it goes out of control because you haven't followed the proper steps to that burn, and you have to deploy the fire department unnecessarily, right? Then there should be a cost to that, right? And that becomes a nuisance fire.
Councillor Slyker?
I did have two residents email me, in around the Lockport, my Ward 3 area, where they normally do burns. And part of it was for the ditch area, a bunch of stuff. And last year he did it, and of course, someone drove by and called and he just felt terrible because the fire department came and blah, 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 blah. So I checked with someone, and I directed him to the fire chief to have a conversation so everybody knew at least what was going on, so that we didn't suck up the fire department and roll the truck and everybody in that. And then a couple days later, it must have been a neighbor, that man sent me an email and said, thanks for the advice. They were both heading to see Chief Peacock. So you're right. I understand what Mr. Mirecki is saying, but we're rolling. Trucks are really busy. The numbers are way up for the fire department this year. And these kinds of things, if we can prevent them, or like you say, it takes off and it does turn into a massive fire, we have a place to stand.
Councillor Fiebelkorn?
What is the current process for farmers that are burning residue on their crops? And I guess my question is if we're rolling this out, what's the education portion of that to inform the farmers of this new permitting or?
I mean, it would go out in any regular publication, right, that we normally send out, or we would do something in particular for this. This could be a very good campaign for Emergency Preparedness Week. We just missed Fire Preparedness Week, right? But I mean, the process wasn't there, but we could find numerous ways on rolling this out, making sure that it goes on social media, it goes on the website, and really have it laid out why we're doing this, how you go about getting this. Like there would be something, you know, once we approve this and the burning permit, because I haven't seen an actual burning permit template. So there is one created, and I think you guys do have that in this package. So, and it really lays out the steps. So making sure that we really highlight the importance of those things. Because as I was going to say earlier, we've gone to fires like this and we noticed that there's nobody monitoring these fires. The fires are just left to go and there's no water there. So really educating them on the importance of why we're doing this. So, but again, there's numerous ways that go out, and you know, there is no wrong way of providing information.
Any further comments? Okay. Be resolved, council give first reading to bylaw 4405, being a bylaw to control open fires as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder. Councillor Slyker, any further comments? All in favor? Councillor Hunt?
I'm opposed.
Okay, that is carried. Item 7.3, bylaw 4398, fire prevention and emergency services bylaw, first reading. Jordan, are you speaking to this one as well?
Yes, ma'am. So again, this isn't a new bylaw. Really, what is happening is a lot of the information that was in the previous emergency prevention or fire prevention and emergency services bylaw had a lot to do with human resources and stuff that would be better suited to policy. So a lot of things were removed and put into policy, which you have the policy also included with the package. I did change some wording and put it into a different kind of format that was presented, recommendation again through the OFC. So it has been vetted through the OFC, basically this template. Again, the major changes are just to remove a lot of what was said in there earlier, change some language with regards to the fire department's makeup. Instead of being 3 separate departments, it's 3 halls under 1 department, and then changing the name from, you know, fire chiefs to district chiefs, and then changing the head of the department as the municipal safety director. And again, just changing some of the language in what we do for response. Again, the majority of the changes, really, those are the only changes. The only real difference is that a lot of the human resources pieces was taken out and put into policy.
Okay, thank you. Council members, do you have any questions or comments? This is first reading. No? Okay, be it resolved that council give first reading to bylaw 4398, being a bylaw to provide for firefighting, fire prevention, rescue services, emergency services, the related regulation of fire and other hazards, the adoption of the code, and for establishing, continuing, and operating an emergency service for the municipality as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder.
I'll second.
Councillor Hunt, any further comments? I have one question. Did this all go through the fire chiefs? Have they reviewed it and provided you with comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
It's your honor. Sorry.
Oh, relax, your worship's fine.
Nice.
Any further comments?
Just had one comment in regards to section 19 chimney pipes. Giving the power to the district fire chief of cleaning of chimneys and fireplaces. How would they know the condition of fireplaces or chimney pipes in people's homes?
Based on fire inspection. So if a fire was caused at that specific spot in there, and then it's seen to be, you know, dirty or, you know, whatever else it needs to be, then yes, they would have the power to clean that as well.
I was just kind of taking it as nothing happened to that property, no fire had occurred. This says that basically the fire chief can come in and say, hey, you got to clean that.
No, I mean, they're not going to go into anybody's house. Again, I can't talk to the reasoning behind that piece, because that was, again, that's a legacy piece that was left in there from before. So whoever put that in there obviously had an idea of what that piece meant.
Okay.
Okay, any further comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item 7.4, fire program policy. The policy is attached. Jordan, I believe you're speaking to this one as well?
Yes, your worship. So again, just looking at the original fire prevention and emergency services bylaw, it was noted that there was a lot of things in policy, plus speaking with the fire chiefs and staff since I've been here and just collecting different information. It seemed like a policy was needed, and seeing a lot of the different actions and stuff that were occurring from payroll to hiring to, it seemed like a lot of, each fire hall or department as they were when I got here, were acting independently of each other, where it would be, I thought, best served to have as much as possible the three halls acting as one unified fire department, and that's kind of been the messaging that I've brought with me since I began here in the RM. So just trying to provide more structure and cohesiveness inside the fire department, I determined that a policy was needed. And again, all the fire chiefs have looked at this. They've made comments on it and are generally okay with, not every provision in there, but 90% of this has been vetted through all three district chiefs. And these are things that were never there before, right? So it's providing some structure to and adding a level of professionalism to our fire department that wasn't there before.
Okay, thank you. Council, Deputy Mayor Doornbos?
When I was going through this, I noticed that there was something in here regarding using your own personal vehicle to get to an emergency. How is that possible not to use your own personal vehicle at times? There has to be a.
Well, what are you going to do when you get to that emergency in a personal vehicle with no equipment?
Okay, so, okay, no, I was thinking that you have to get to the hall somehow. Yeah.
Right, no, you have to get to the hall, yes.
Yeah, seemed a little off.
I just think there maybe should be a slight kind of provision that would allow, say, for if somebody is driving past a scene or has the ability to stop and give potentially an update or to the incoming apparatus, or I know on occasion there have been members that have driven to a scene to provide that update, knowing that there are members attending the hall that will be bringing the trucks. And also for medical calls, I know just from at Center Hall that 80% of members that are doing a medical call will go straight to the scene in their personal vehicle, because it doesn't make sense to drive all the way to the hall to go all the way to there when medical calls typically, we have, I know members, they have equipment with them.
Yeah.
So I just thought that, it says that you will not or shall not, but.
So I'll speak to the last part first. In speaking with Manitoba Health and Shared Health, they advised to not do that due to the fact of carrying, FIA information in a personal vehicle is not recommended. So that's why I added that piece in. Now, it can be massaged. Again, the fire chiefs did not see an issue with this when presented to them. So maybe they weren't looking at it from an MFR lens. And maybe that's something that was overlooked, but I can definitely take a look at that. The other piece is, I have no problem with if somebody's on the way by going and especially if they're requested to get to the scene first, to do some initial recce's there and maybe act as an incident commander until someone can arrive, provided they are doing it in a safe manner and making sure they're taking the precautions. The real big thing was, and from what I've heard from a lot of different people in the RM, is that there was an issue with some mileage. So this was to kind of attack that problem that I've heard lots about and try to curb down on the use of personal mileage, given we have how many vehicles with each hall to be able to attend these fires too. So it was kind of also from a safety perspective and also from a administrative financial standpoint.
I guess for that, in terms of maybe there's that vehicle's they're already driving their personal vehicle to the hall. If it's a minor stop, right, in between stop, I don't see why somebody would claim mileage for that. But seeing as how they're already coming to the hall.
Well, that's part of it, right? And I think in the policy, it also states that, you're coming to the hall, you're not getting paid mileage, right? Like there's no,
right.
You don't get paid to go to work. You don't get paid to go to your other job. That's
so maybe if there was a way to put, like, if responding to a fire call and you attend the scene, right? It's included that no mileage because you're,
Yeah, we'll also have to word it in a way where we're not encouraging anybody to take action in an unsafe way, right, to
100%.
protect yourself. So, yeah, we can add that in just as long as.
kind of along the same lines as a motor vehicle collision. You know, there will be that one or two members that maybe say have training in medical care, that they may stop at that scene instead of driving past it to go to the hall. Maybe there's an attempt to make some initial.
What if you live by there? What if you live by the accident?
Right. So that just was one, if there would be maybe just
So another piece that'll be added to this, and I haven't done that yet, just because I haven't had a chance to sit down with all the fire chiefs to discuss this, is coming up with response guidelines too. So that we're all responding in a kind of a certain way when it comes to different things. Like I know there was a few things when we're, you know, oh, we need a house torn down. Well, one chief, I don't want to do that. And another chief saying, yeah, go ahead and do it. We need to do that. Like if that's something we need to do, we need to do. So those are the things I need to iron out. So that again is part of a response. So placing that in, and a response, the responses wouldn't be policy, because I know you cannot policy a response. There's too many unknowns. And a lot of things different or happen, and events are different every time. But if we have a standard operating procedure or guideline, as is what it's probably going to be, that could be something that we place in the guideline and just place a caveat under there, unless otherwise directed or it's safe to do so, sort of thing. Please see the guideline.
Good feedback though for us to
100%.
come back for second reading.
Definitely, yep.
Yeah.
Councillor Mirecki?
Yeah, I have a question here. Okay, in terms of wages, I guess what we're doing here is we're paying our fire chief, deputy chiefs, on a number. Okay, fire chiefs, 325 hours, deputy chief, 175 hours, officers 50. Is this in line with other RMs? Are we, you know, in the ballpark, or are we paying too little and too much?
We are in line with other ones. We might be a little bit more than some of the other ones, and for whatever reason. These are numbers that were here when I got here. The 325 number was quite odd because only one fire chief was getting the 325, the others were getting 300. So rather than take away a number from one chief, I just added it to the others. There was also we were paying a lot of money to deputy chiefs' cell phones. So I increased that rather than take away the whole cell phone. So you're not getting your whole cell phone paid, but I've compromised with it. And, you know, given that they will have to do something, but I mean, the argument that I got from the fire chief to the why deputy chief cell phone should be paid for, they listed everything, all the job duties that the fire chiefs are doing. I'm like, that's what you get a cell phone for. That's why you get the hours. So why are you passing off these responsibilities down to the fire chief? To me, that didn't make sense. So we're double paying for the same service. So again, rather than take away completely, because we're asking a lot of firefighters, especially the officers that are up there, the two leadership positions as well. So I kind of split it. So now instead of we're paying for a full year of a cell phone. Well, we're giving you half still. So we're giving and taking at the same time.
Yeah, my main concern was that we were in the ballpark here.
We are in the ballpark, yes.
We're good there.
There's nothing, like, the number's not outrageous in one area.
We've seen studies from comparative studies for fire departments in municipalities, and we're not the highest, we're not the lowest either, right? We've fallen about the 60% category for where we are. So when I seen that data, I was fine with that. I believe that the firefighters is a public service, that to have people that are doing this part-time and running and organizing and budgeting and getting that call in the middle of the night, that we want to treat these volunteers respectfully and well.
I have a question. I was just wondering if there shouldn't be something in here in regards to retention. We spend a lot of money training these volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
And after they get certified, who's to say they just go somewhere else after we've wasted thousands of dollars training these people?
I struggled with that to whether to add that or not add that. I wasn't sure if putting that in policy would would deter. And that's, so by restricting, right, certain things, and we're deterring membership of at least 5 years. I mean, that could be part of that could be, part of the hiring policy where, maybe you sign a contract. I don't know how that'll go. We can amend the policy a lot easier than a bylaw, so it would be easier to.
Maybe we need to see our data on,
Retention data.
yeah, retention data. Maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it's such an issue that I think one of the ways you can do that, if you spend a lot of money on training, is say if you leave within a year of your training that costs the municipality this much money, that you have to pay it back, right? So you can't make them stay forever, but retention policies do have that. If the money's spent on you, just like a doctor or a nurse, right, in certain areas, that you're expected to stay a year. And, if you get this training, and if you don't, we'll be looking to get the training costs back. That's the only way really you can do it.
And there'd be a lot of caveats with that too, because I mean, you get a job offer from somewhere, what are you gonna say, no, I can't because I'm a volunteer firefighter in St. Andrews and it's gonna cost me.
No, but I just thought if they were
I
going
get
to
it,
be
yeah.
going to City of
Yes.
Winnipeg
Yes.
Fire Department or some other fire department.
Yeah.
And we've trained them. They haven't paid for that training, like gone to Brandon College and
That's right.
paid for it.
That's right. Yeah, and I wasn't taking that away from your comment. I was just saying it was, I wasn't quite sure how to broach that. So, but it is something that is on my mind, and there's something that myself and the fire chiefs do discuss quite often. I wasn't sure how to put it into policy yet. So, yeah. But yes, no, it is there.
So a comment on that is, in many years, I don't know if it's been a big issue or not, like the CEO had said, we need to maybe know that information, but I call it an investment in our residents that have, and some of them have moved on and gone with professional firefighting, the city being one of them. But then again, a lot of them have come back, moved back to the community. So we've gained expertise and knowledge because the city goes above and beyond level 1 in training. Now so now we have an investment from the city that a lot of these people, when you're younger, joined the fire department, moved on to a career, now have moved back, started a family in St. Andrews or even other areas in the RM. So I think it's balanced out that we've got those volunteers or those residents come back and give us their expertise now. So just my comments.
Oh, so how many has that happened? What are the numbers on that?
I have no idea, but I know there is some up in the south end that have moved back and are firemen, or have even moved back into the community. So that's something I think you have to ask the fire chiefs if they think it's an issue. They all of them have been around long enough to know the training and how many have moved on and if they've come back. And I think that's has to be up to them to make that comment to you and say, yeah, it's an issue. We need to address it then. And if it's not, it's
Five City Winnipeg anymore.
Lisa?
Oh, just a quick comment. I think it's kind of been touched on, and Jordan just mentioned it in his last comment, that in my brief discussions with some of the fire chiefs is that they're all very conscious of it, and they do kind of vet the people that are applying for them and kind of gauge where their intentions are, if they're staying, how young they are they planning to, they have other career aspirations and stuff. So they're all appear to be very aware and take that into consideration when they're recommending hires.
Thank you, Councillor Fiebelkorn.
So I can tell you from experience that members that live in St. Andrews and have a home in St. Andrews and are on the fire hall, if they do get a job in Winnipeg, they're not moving to Winnipeg. They're still, it's the people that maybe are still living with their parents, and there's that unknown if they're going to stay, buy a home in St. Andrews or go live in the city. So that's one thing to consider about that, but I would say it's kind of rare. In terms of retention, with the attending 40% of calls or 80% of practices, because of the lifestyles of these members, whether they're shift workers, farmers, they have children in sports, just personal reasons. I'd rather see that more to if they haven't attended a call in say 2 months, or there's still that, at the fire chief discretion, but to put a percentage on the attendance, just my personal feeling, I'd rather go away from that and because of life changing, and it says if you fall below that, you now are a part-time employee. And I just wanted to know, what is the difference between the full-time and part-time?
Well, I think the way, I can't remember if it was worded as part-time, was it auxiliary?
It just says if you fall below that.
Full-time member and a part-time member.
Yeah, you would be considered a part-time member.
Like that was like a lot of that had to do with, like, you can't consider yourself a full-time member when you drop below a certain percentage that way. So when we're counting full-time active members, then that was the count, right? And then you had that part-time auxiliary staff. So it wouldn't be like how many active full-time firefighters we know are gonna show up. We have that certain percentage. So say we have a membership of 30, well, we know we have 18 of these guys we know are dedicated and going to show up, but we can almost count them as numbers that we know what our response level is going to be, and then we have those backup ones that come in. Because again, if you're on a long enough situation or a long enough event where you have those full-time guys that are going, okay, well, we know we have this many in reserve that could come, like those would be those part-time guys.
I guess more along the lines of, say that person who's either going to apply and they see this and they're like, well, I can do that this year, but next year I'm going to have a kid. I might fall below that. You might not get the retention, or you might, get people that be like, well, I guess I'm quitting because I'm not going to make 80% of practices this year. That's why
it's not saying that they need to quit, right? But it's just allowing for planning. And it's also like the main point of this is to try and professionalize this a little bit more than what it has been, right? Add that structure component to this. I'm not looking for someone to come and quit. Like, yeah, you can still be a member. You might not be a full-time member, and we're not going to count you in those active responses because we know you're just not going to be. Like, we know you've missed this many. We can't count on you as that active number one responder that's going to come. Like, it's already there. Talking with the fire chiefs, it's just not on paper. This puts it down on paper because these are all stuff. Again, when we were creating this has all been talked through with the 3 chiefs. So that was kind of a consensus there.
I think it gives the chiefs and officers some kind of, it's frustrating, right? When you're having training and you would know, right? It's frustrating when you're having training and certain people are constantly not showing up, right? And due to lifestyle or changes in their life, or cherry picking, we called it in hockey, right? Cherry picking when they'll come, and it's frustrating for other members that are, sacrificing more. So, and we could probably massage that a bit too. Sure. But to give the chiefs some kind of something to look at where they could show a measurement and make a call on it versus, no, we haven't picked on you, right? Because something's happened and now we're suggesting you don't attend enough. We have a policy here, right? And maybe instead of doing it automatically, trigger some kind of review and a discussion, and then the chief can be discretionary on how they do it like that. But the chiefs and the officers need something that they can refer to.
So for your hall, for instance, 2 members are being placed on administrative leave due to the fact that they have family issues happening, right? This was just notified to me the other day. So do we say, okay, well, you're on administrative leave, you're not a member anymore? Is that what that means? See, again, I don't know what that means. Does the other 2 halls do the same thing? Do they know what that means? I don't know. Like, to me, okay, you're still a member, but you're not a full-time active member. That would drop you down.
And what do those 2 different statuses like me? So I'm just trying to understand. So if they fall below the percentage, does that now fall into the termination category where there's a verbal warning that you haven't met the attendance requirements? Or I guess maybe that's what I'm trying to.
My only concern with really the piece, when it comes to terminating somebody or penalizing somebody, I mean, I wouldn't see, like, if you don't show up, I mean, why are you here in the first place, kind of thing, right? Like, again, so maybe that's a discussion that somebody needs to have, like, hey, you're not here, but that terminating piece and all that stuff, that I think that's like the conduct, the behavior, those are the pieces I had in mind. I didn't have it in mind when it comes to this type of thing. Again, like, you know, somebody has a lifestyle change or somebody got, let's be honest, you're gonna age out at some point. So, yeah, I know, me neither. I mean, I'm not aging out either, but does that mean you can no longer be a member of that fire hall? Right? So maybe it's not, maybe like we know there's, I think I've touched on auxiliary staff, right? Like somebody that comes in, they're not actively training, they're not actively doing this, right? Like, so it's just, again, the main part is to ensure like what Brent was saying, like there needs to be a gauge of, I know how many full-time active members I'm gonna have, and then I have a whole handful of part-timers. Right? So that was kind of the key for that, just to know, like, cause I say, how many members do you got? Well, then I get this, I got all these guys who are all active. And this came from every fire, from all 3 fire halls. I got this many guys that are gonna actively respond, right? And those are the ones that I consider the full-time members. And I have guys that don't really show up, they're kind of lackadaisy on when they're here. Well, we consider them part-time members. It's, okay, well, let's put that down on paper, right? Like that was the point of this. Again, I believe when you're running, especially a fire hall that you know you count on bodies for your response, you need to know how many of these guys you have. So that was my.
And then the other part is, because I just don't want to see anyone getting into hot water here, entering an establishment that serves alcohol while being on duty. What is the on duty like? Because technically all firefighters are on duty all the time. So I just want to
well, if you have the intention of tonight, so say tonight you go and you want to go have a drink, right? Well, now you're not on duty, right? You've had that drink.
Like I get
like
this
you
part where it
not,
says you should not consume alcohol within 12 hours, but if I'm just trying to see, because it says while on duty. Well, so I'm just trying to figure out the wording here. What?
Well, that and also when you get back to the fire hall, we're not having drinks when that event's done. Right.
So I'm talking about the establishment part though.
Right, that's what I mean. But like you left a scene, you're still not, the whole point is like if you're going to respond or have the intent to respond, or you're on your way back and you know you're done at the hall or you're done at the event and you're on your way back, well, it's swinging for a beer. No, we're not doing it.
But what about you're on call, you want to go and play the BLTs, you're not drinking, but you're in an establishment. You're on call, or you're still on duty.
I would definitely recommend against that because you're now in an area with a bunch of residents who are now all of a sudden, oh, I just saw that guy at the bar. So now the chief now has to look at you and go, okay, what were you doing there? Can you actually be here? Should you be responding? Like, it's just a way of covering not only the fire, like yourself as the firefighter, but also the fire hall, the fire department and the RM as a whole.
So when is a member considered on call or on duty? Sorry.
Well, I mean, that would have to be like, I guess the discretion of the member, right? Like if you are actively going to respond to a call, if you're like, okay, I'm going to respond to this call, don't go to a bar. My point, the whole point of this is to deter consumption of alcohol.
100%.
For a response.
No, I 100% agree with you. And just the way that it words though is that technically a firefighter is always on duty. So you're saying they'll never be able to enter a bar in their life.
If they have the intent of responding, sure. But then, I mean, then you would check out with the fire chief, say, hey, I have something going on. I don't count on me for a response.
All right, we can talk about that.
You can only go to Walmart.
And one other thing, sorry, under wages, additional taxes being taken off. I know this was an issue in the past. It doesn't indicate, so is this every pay period? A member needs to go in and submit the additional taxes, or once they do it once, it's good forever?
Well, no, it's good for the year.
So just for the year, so every year they will have to renew that.
Yeah. So now, but if you say, okay, I didn't get enough taxes taken off this first one, I need more taken off next one. So 2 pay periods in a year.
Yeah.
So in June, I didn't get enough in June, I need to take more off in December, then you have to submit that amount.
Okay.
Submit that pay
No,
period.
I just want to make sure that that's clear. Okay.
Councillor Mirecki?
Yeah, I was just wondering, did you, were you able to take a look at other RM's policies when you developed this?
I asked a few and there really wasn't a policy.
Is that right? So the other RMs are pretty much out in the.
Some of them are in the process of building the policy right now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a lot of this was already pre-written inside the bylaw.
Mhm.
So it had already been passed by council.
No, a lot of this. Does the bylaw refer to like wages, TD1 and all that? I don't believe
It
that.
referred to wages, that just went a step further,
Okay.
further clarified it. The wages were broken out in the bylaw.
Deputy Mayor Doornbos.
So just backtracking a little bit, reporting for duty to be considered a full-time member, members must attend 40% emergency calls and 80% of practice and training sessions. Instead of, maybe that verbiage needs to change a little bit, instead of having members must attend, they are expected to attend.
Okay.
Like, it's something, so you don't have to nail down.
Yeah, like you said, I'm not opposed to changing the way things are written, to maybe soften the language, in any of these things. Like I said, the intent here is just to lay kind of that foundation, right? Like it was a fire, it was, again, we're trying to build a unified department, right? So making sure that everybody kind of follows the same rules, that's all this is meant to do. But again, if there's language in there that doesn't make sense, it's a little harsh, needs some clarification, by all means, let's get those recommendations figured. Sorry if I sounded standoffish to anybody's comments, I didn't mean to.
Any further comments? I just have one comment. It's been brought up in the past of years about the wages. When is anything based on self-host the busiest, planning boys next, Matt what yet? Why are the chiefs all getting the same wages?
How can we differentiate that? Like, how can we, you're still expected to do the same job, right? Depending, like, it doesn't matter the amount of response calls that you have, you still have to maintain the hall, you still have to practice. Just because you're not doing that many calls, I mean, the practices shouldn't stop.
No, of course not. No, but that's been brought up in the past.
Oh,
Sure.
I haven't heard that one yet. I haven't heard
Oh.
that concern yet, sorry.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, you've talked to the chiefs about all of this?
ma'am, or yes, Your Honor, sorry.
Yes. Okay, any further comments? Okay. So then be it resolved, the council adopt policy PRS 04 being a policy to establish the guidelines in coordination with the fire prevention and emergency services bylaw to establish staff and operate the St. Andrews Fire Department as presented. Or we're going to be, or to be amended.
I think we should just table this and we'll bring it back with changes.
Okay, then I don't need a mover and
Second.
We'll just table. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Approval of accounts. Be resolved, the council approved the October 17th, 2024 check detail report as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Slyker, seconder. Councillor Fiebelkorn, any comment? Councillor,
I just wanna say the check details are getting, much better compared to 2 years ago when I started. So I thank administration for that.
all in favor? Carried. Correspondence for action, our meeting. Be it resolved that be authorized to attend the our meeting, which is being held November 7th, 2024 in Peterson. St. Andrews is hosting. So I assume all of council will be attending.
I won't be attending.
Councillor Hunt. So could I have a mover and administration you don't need? Okay, could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder. Councillor Fiebelkorn, all in favor? Carried. Manitoba Crime Stoppers financial support request. I have on here this to be added to the 2025 budget for consideration. So it'll be tabled for budget discussions. Thank you. IERHA Health Workforce Coalition meeting. Be it resolved that Mayor Soul be authorized to attend the IERHA Health Workforce Coalition meeting being held October 30th from 1:30 to 3:30 at the Selkirk Regional Health Center. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder. Councillor Mirecki, all in favor? Carried. Lord's Selkirk Adult Learning Center fundraiser. Be it resolved that Deputy Mayor Doornbos is authorized to have attended the Lord Selkirk Adult Learning Education Center fundraiser, which was held on October 16, 2024 at the Royal Canadian Legion in Selkirk. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy, Councillor Mondor, seconder, Councillor Mirecki, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Be it resolved that Mayor Sewell and Councillor Hunt and Fiebelkorn be authorized to attend the St. George Wakefield Anglican Church 120th anniversary event being held November 10th in Clandeboye. Could I have a mover, please?
I've already sent my regrets in that I can't make it, and I won't make it.
Okay, so it'll just be Mayor Sewell and Councillor Fiebelkorn.
Yes.
You're able to attend. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder.
I'll second it.
Councillor Hunt, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Oh, sorry, I didn't have, this was an addition. This is on Red River Basin. Be it resolved that be authorized to attend the 2025 Red River Basin Commission's International Summit Conference being held January 14th to 16th, 2025 in Grand Forks. This is their yearly big convention that takes turns Winnipeg, Grand Forks, Fargo. Who would like to attend? Councillor Mondor. Lisa, I hope you get that. I don't have that one printed out. Oh, or I can, okay, that was an addition. And what is the deadline to let them know? Anyone else interested? I've gone to it every year pretty much. Okay.
Just visit the website.
Oh, can I put down Mayor Sewell and Council Mondor? I'll let you know by Friday. They won't be booking that fast anyway, right? Okay. So be it resolved that Mayor Sewell and Council Mondor be authorized to attend. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos. Seconder, Councillor Mirecki, all in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence for information. Does anybody have any comments or questions on this? The only that for admin on the Manitoba Grow program. Obviously, management would know to apply for something if there's something applicable for us. You get all these too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Old unfinished business. Tender cancellation. Whereas a request for tender RFT 2023-05 to supply materials, equipment, and labor necessary for the construction of the Phase 4 walking trails and intersection crossings at PTH 9 and 44, PTH 9 and 410, PTH 9 and 27 was awarded to B&B Landscape and Cartage on December 1st, 2023, with the work to be completed by July 31st, 2024. And whereas due to some design changes, scope of work changes, and delay in MTI authorizations, the contract was not started. And whereas administration feels the change in scope, timeline, and amended contractor pricing no longer made it a fair and competitive tender process. Therefore, be it resolved that council hereby cancels RFT 2023-05. And further resolved that a new tender, request for tender process will be issued to reflect the work required and will be issued in the 2024-2025 for completion of the work in 2025. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder. Councillor Mirecki, any comments, questions? All in favor? Carried. Staff holiday season appreciation. This is under new business. Be it resolved that each RM of St. Andrews current working staff member receive $100 Selkirk Biz Bucks gift card in their December 19th, 2024 payroll as a Christmas appreciation gift. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Mondor, seconded. Councillor Mirecki, any questions or comments? Councillor Slyker?
When we do these gift certificates, I'm assuming that, each employee is taxed for the gift certificate as per, taxation rule?
That hasn't been practiced yet. It's just a gift.
Could be.
Right.
That is the taxation rule. If you get a gift card, it's that $100 is taxed on your paycheck. I know that very well from Valentia.
Are they getting a card? Are they getting a gift card? Okay, so I don't believe those are taxed if you get a gift card. That's like me getting a Starbucks gift card and not to claim it on my taxes.
No, the person, your company that paid you, it's.
So if you got a turkey, would you get taxed on the turkey?
No, it's gift card. Check it out. I check like that, check it out and see.
I don't know how we would possibly do that. So we're giving this as a staff appreciation. And then maybe we relook at, again, maybe doing purchase goods. I don't know.
Am I allowed to speak? I just have a, no,
Go ahead.
start. I believe if it was called a bonus, having run an organization before, the bonus, but this isn't being called a bonus, it's just an appreciation. I think it's different. A bonus gets taxed, but I don't believe that an appreciation gets taxed. This is a gift, not a bonus.
I'll check it out. I'll give it a try.
Sorry.
I don't know what the issue is. It's an appreciation gift for the staff.
Just a question there. Good question.
All in favor? Carried. Agenda item 12.2, whereas the developer is required to enter into a development agreement with the municipality as a condition of approval for subdivision number S23-3011, and whereas the development agreement has been prepared to include the items deemed necessary by the municipality, including an engineered drainage plan and any other standard deemed necessary by the municipality. Now therefore be it resolved that the RM St. Andrews authorize signing of the development agreement with Grant and Karen Medwood upon payment of any development and administrative charges. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Slyker, seconder. Councillor Mondor, any further questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Permit and licensing software. Whereas administration has recommended the purchase of a permit and licensing software system to modernize current municipal processing. And whereas Cloud Permit offers seamless integration with the RM's Esri GIS system and will provide better data management. Now therefore be it resolved that the RM of St. Andrews authorize signing of the software service agreement with Cloud Permit for the initial cost of $18,105 from the approved 2024 Economic Development Services budget. And further be it resolved that the balance of $30,000 will be budgeted over the next 2 years, 2025 and 2026 budget, for a total cost of $48,105 over 3 years. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Slyker, seconder, Deputy Mayor Doornbos. Any comments or questions?
I can speak to this if you'd like. So this is something I've been exploring as a possibility for a little while now. I've had several discussions with other software providers, and I've attended other technical demonstrations myself, as well as other department heads and staff. And I've determined that one software provider would offer the municipality the best value for money, being Cloud Permit. So with that said, there is an opportunity with Cloud Permit, which some of you may be aware of, is a modern software solution that would significantly improve how we handle our permitting and licensing in the municipality. So with Cloud Permit, our applicants, the majority of whom are residents, ratepayers, or business owners in the RM, would be able to submit their applications and payments online anytime. No more in-person visits or paperwork, and they can also track their application status in real time from their own home, reducing wait times and making the process far more convenient for everybody involved. The system will also make it easier and faster for applicants to get their permits, while also improving their overall experience with the municipality. For our administration, Cloud Permit will also automate many tasks that currently take up time, such as processing paperwork, the Excel spreadsheets, managing payments, interdepartmental communications for when they're received at the front desk here has to go to Public Works, for example, and everything will be handled in one organized platform, which will in turn reduce our manual errors and allow staff to process applications more quickly. The integration with our financial software also means that we can accept online payments through our Moneris account, simplifying payment handling for both the public and our staff. This would ultimately free up time for us to focus on more strategic initiatives and ultimately improving service delivery and efficiency across the board. So by adopting Cloud Permit, we would not only enhance the experience for the applicants, but also ensuring a streamlined and efficient process for everyone who utilizes the software. It's very user-friendly and has a very friendly layout, easy accessible. This system will also enable the municipality to manage an increased demand without increasing the staff workload, helping us keep up with the needs of our growing community. So further to that, the initial cost of $18,105 for the first service year, beginning in 2024, carrying over for a year. There is currently room in the Economic Development Services budget for that. However, I'm further requesting $30,000 to be budgeted over the next 2 years, being 2025 and 2026, to cover the expected costs of services for the next 3 years. This amount also includes a very small buffer for training on the software and potential updates. We've had discussions just recently at this meeting for fire permits. That's a new permit that gets included. It has to be digitized and uploaded to the software, but it allows for room for that throughout the year as well. And if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to kind of explain some of the Cloud Permit software.
Sounds like great software. Sounds like we can use it. My only question is, does it replace anything that we're currently using, or this is just an additional?
Yeah, so it's great that it digitizes things, but some people will still prefer to come in person, pay via cash or check. That's, of course, still going to be accepted. So it's not replacing, but it's further enhancing. Yeah.
After the initial 3 years is up, is there another fee that we're going to have to be charged?
There's the option to renew the subscription. It's a 4% annual increase on the subscription fee every year. I have their quote in here. It begins at, so starting, the first subscription fee is $13,105 every year for the first 3 years is a 4% increase. I can't speak as to what the cost would be projected outside of that, but I would anticipate it would remain the same at 4%. I could also reach out to Cloud Permit if we'd like to engage in a longer term contract as well.
Councillor Slyker.
I think this is wonderful. This is taxpayer service. So I thank you for all the research that you've done. And I wouldn't see why any of us would question. This is the first step in our term to giving taxpayers some customer service satisfaction.
Could you give examples of that, Councillor Slyker?
Well, just that you don't have to come to the office to pay for stuff. I can go online and I can pay for it. I can apply for a permit that I want online. I don't have to drive all the way here. Just as Braden is saying. It's one more step to enhance customer service for the taxpayers. And I'm proud to see that we're working towards that.
That's Mirecki.
Yeah, I just have one comment. I'm just hoping the system has a lot of safeguards built into it, so it, it's something that can't be hacked and.
Absolutely. So I've read through the agreement, and there's clauses in there that protect both Cloud Permit and ourselves. Of course, this is a third party that has some sensitive information from our residents, ratepayers. It's all encapsulated in that agreement. Would encourage you all to read it over. Absolutely. There's quite a number of pages in there, but I've had an extensive discussion with them that their security is at the forefront of their software. Yeah, they're very trusted throughout other municipalities as well as the Red River Planning District.
I have a question. Like Red River Planning, this is like the same thing they've got, or you customize it to what you want Cloud Permit to do? Because there's been so many issues with Cloud Permit at RRP.
So Cloud Permit has various, I'll call them package or piecemeals that you can add on as exhaustive as you want. This began with permitting, licensing software, as well as bylaw enforcement and discussion with bylaw. The current processes are working quite well. So we're not going to include that. That would incur a higher cost. But if it's something that we want to include, it can always be added on in the future. So this is just one piecemeal, we'll call, which is the permitting and licensing software. Further to that, I don't think I touched on it, the integration with the GIS. I'll have to speak with our GIS technicians, but the goal is to have that data, permits and licenses available in our GIS software. So if I click on a property, I can see the full history, all the permits that are recorded for that property, when they were applied for, the whole recorded application, everything. So it's just further knowledge and information for us to use.
Okay, like, this is great.
Yeah.
But didn't you say that was a selling feature when we paid towards Red River Planning's cloud permit, and municipalities were able to see all this GIS and everything else?
We were supposed to access the information through the cloud permits for fruition, and I don't know any of the details behind it.
So we're basically doing our own now outside of Red River.
Well, these are different permits. These aren't the same permits as Red River Planning. These would be our lot grade permits and.
So it's a little bit of a sidebar. I will be meeting with our GIS technicians later this month or November to discuss planning records, which are derived from Red River Planning to be included in our GIS, conditional uses, variances. But this would entail RM specific. So the business licenses we were just discussing, any kind of permits, lot grade, private approach, film, road closure requests, the exhaustive, and any other future ones that may come to fruition. So it would all be included in one cloud-based software. Yeah.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Okay, Councillor Slyker, Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder, moved and seconder, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Mondor?
Yeah.
Carried. Now, we didn't have, no, that's the last one, in camera. Be it resolved that council move in camera at 7:11 PM to discuss matters that are in preliminary stages and respecting which discussion in public could prejudice the municipality's ability to carry out its activities or negotiations, as well as legal and personnel issues. And be it further resolved that the members of council agree to keep in confidence a matter that is discussed at a meeting that is closed to the public under subsection 152(3), and that the committee decides to keep confidential until the matter is discussed at a meeting of the council or of a committee conducted in public. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Mirecki, seconder. Councillor Slyker, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Be it resolved that the council moves out of in camera at 8:01 PM. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Doornbos, seconder. Councillor Slyker, all in favor? Carried. Resolutions from in camera. Whereas the bylaw enforcement officer for the Arm of St. Andrews had investigated and deemed the property identified as tax roll number 210700 as unsightly, dangerous, and a nuisance for neighbors, contrary to the provisions of bylaw 4145. And whereas a notice of inspection, notice of violation, Schedule A, and municipal order to comply, Schedule B, together with a copy of the notice of objection and penalty provisions of the bylaw, have been issued to the registered owner of the premises. And whereas there has been non-compliance with the notice of violation, order to comply, and directions of bylaw enforcement officer, and no notice of objection having been filed by the property owner with the RM under bylaw 4145. And whereas Part 4, Section 2J of bylaw 4145 provides that the designated officer may order the work to be carried out to remedy the contravention and charge the cost of the work done and any other costs incurred for the enforcement of this bylaw to the owner, agent, lessee, or occupier, and in default of payment, 1, recover the costs and any other incurred for the enforcement of this bylaw as debt due to the RM, or 2, charge the cost and any other costs incurred for the enforcement of this bylaw against the land concerned on the same manner as the tax may be collected or enforced under this bylaw, or 3, both 1 and 2. And whereas the designated officer has recommended to the RM that they proceed to remedy the contravention and proceed to charge the costs for enforcement as set forth above, and specifically Part 4, Section 2J3 of bylaw 4145. And whereas the RM hereby resolves that A, the property is unsightly and be deemed to be in contravention of the bylaw. B, it accepts the recommendations of the bylaw enforcement officer. C, confirms third-party contractors to be retained for the remedying the contravention of the bylaw, including remedial cleanup and rodent control work. And D, costs for enforcement to be charged as set forth and in accordance with the bylaw. And further, that the order be performed after October 23rd, 2024. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Slyker, seconder. Councillor Fiebelkorn. Any further comments? All in favor? Carried. Next item, unsightly property violation, roll number 9739. Now this bylaw is exactly the same as the last one. I'll just read the beginning of the paragraph. Whereas the bylaw enforcement officer for the Arm of St. Andrews had investigated and deemed the property identified as tax roll number 9739 as unsightly, dangerous, and a nuisance for neighbors contrary to the provisions of bylaw 4145. Every single paragraph after that is exactly as I read, so I won't repeat. And the last line being, and further that the order be performed after October 23rd, 2024. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Mondor, seconded by Councillor Slyker. Councillor Mondor, any comments or?
I was just wondering if we could put a date to be completed by at the end.
And further that the order be performed after October 23rd, 2024. But I believe there has to be discussion with the contractor first. Correct?
We could put whatever date you in if we can't get somebody there. Jordan will have to get his shovel.
Well, we could say to be completed no later than November 15th or something like that.
Sure.
Or December 15th, like, so we don't have to come back and get it.
Well, then
Okay,
we're
further-
getting into the freeze up, right?
Okay, so and further that the order be performed after October 23rd, 2024, that's starting tomorrow, and to be completed by November 30th,
Sure, give them a month would be fair. I think a month would be fair.
by November 30th, 2024. So Councillor Mondor's movers, like her secondary, you're okay with that? Adding in? Okay, any further comments? All in favor? Carries. I got that piece in ready on me. Next item, adjournment. Be it resolved that the council meeting be adjourned at 8:06 p.m. Could I have a mover, please? Mayor Doornbos, seconder, Councillor Mirecki, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Have a good evening.
Everyone.